Well, hello, friends. I'm going to pause this quickly. So, okay, welcome everybody. I'm super excited to have this particular event today because for anyone who's been in our community for a while, you are familiar with Karen Ferreira of Children's Book Mastery, of Get Your Book Illustrated. You know that you probably know or may not know until right now that we do an annual training event together for children's book authors, which is always a lot of fun and just jam-packed with information. She is a pleasure to work with and has been supporting the Women in Publishing Summit for several years now. And her company really is very cool because for those of you who are interested in writing, publishing, and selling a book, she's got the gamut of, I'm sorry, that's just flashed right off again. Am I still with you?
You
Okay.
are with us.
She covers the Okay, good. She still covers the gamut of everywhere from training courses all the way through done for you services and helping authors get their books written, get their books published, and get their books illustrated as well, obviously before the publishing piece of it, and marketed. So without further ado, I know she has a lot of content to share with you, so I'm going to go ahead and just welcome Karen. Thank you so much for supporting us and bringing us this information, and I'm passing the floor to you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I see some names in the chat I recognize. So hello, and hello to everyone I don't recognize as well. So as Alexa said, there's quite a bit to cover in this webinar. So I'm going to talk fairly fast, but I will try to not, run away with myself. So my name is Karen Ferreira, as Alexa said, and we are going to go over how to write a picture book without procrastination, self-doubt, or taking months, even if you've always struggled to turn your idea into a story. And for those of you who already have completed picture books, there will still be value here for you, so don't run away. And also I'm going to go over an extremely limited opportunity being made available when you take action here today on a first come, first serve basis. So yes, I will be offering something as well at the end of this webinar. So first, there's a big question that we need to begin answering, and that I'm sure has been on your mind in some way, shape, or form, which is how do you turn your idea into a story that appeals to your audience so that you can create a picture book that they'll want on their bookshelf forever, right? That they really want to read again and again. And how do you do that without taking months or years to get it done? So you want to make a beautiful, engaging book, but you also want to have some fun doing it, right? And you want to get it done. So it's actually done. So sometimes it can feel like such a mammoth task that it can be, you can be exhausted before you even really ever get started. So this webinar is for you if you want to write a picture book, but you haven't started yet, or if you've written one or more picture books, but you never took it further than just writing the manuscript. Or maybe you've written or even published one or more picture books, but they weren't as good as you really wanted them to be. Or you have published picture books and you just want to write more picture books. And even if you think you're never going to successfully write a picture book, or if you've never created a picture book because you're not sure where to even begin. Or I know this is something that I hear every so often. Maybe you just feel technologically challenged, or you become afraid of the costs really quickly adding up, or you don't know where to get great illustrations or how to write so the text works with the illustrations, or you think there's just so many steps that it takes years, and where will you find enough time? And then some of the most common questions I hear are, what if you struggle with procrastination and self-doubt? Or how do you overcome that challenge of doing it all by yourself and not having anyone beside you to confirm that you're doing it correctly? Or how can you be economical with the words, because a picture book has so few words, but still make your writing sing? And how do you get your manuscript down to 500 words or less and decide what to cut out and what to keep? And last but not least, what do you do if you feel like you've tried everything and nothing is working for you? So the good news is you are in the right place. If any of those things resonated with you, we are going to help you today. So what we are going to cover is we're going to go over the 5 big mistakes that people make when writing or trying to write children's books. And then of course those are the things that you must avoid doing. And we're going to look at why those mistakes are so destructive, and we're going to look at some ways to avoid or overcome those mistakes. And also we're going to look at 3 aspiring authors and how they went from having no published books to publishing multiple books, including best-selling and award-winning books. So how did they do it, and what did they all have in common? So you can also have that in common with them. And don't go away before the end, because I have a free gift for you at the end that I'll also be revealing with over $1,000. So before I get into all of that, I just want to talk briefly about why you should pay attention to what we're going to be covering, and really why you should pay attention to me in any way, shape, or form. So as Alexa mentioned before, Children's Book Mastery, I was the founder of Get Your Book Illustrations, and we help children's book authors to publish beautiful books through providing them with professional, affordable illustrations and book design. And that's really where it all started, because I saw people putting their heart and soul into writing, and then, paying to get their books illustrated and working really hard on getting this done. And there were 2 things that I saw most often. And the one was that they didn't write the manuscript very well. In other words, they didn't really know about writing craft and how to write a really good book, which also hurt their long-term success. And the other thing I saw was just a lot of marketing struggles, which today we're looking at the writing craft side of things. So I really hated seeing that because they were working so hard and they're not really succeeding. And I knew I really wanted to help authors to overcome their challenges and achieve their dream of becoming successful children's book authors. And that's where I founded Children's Book Mastery, to provide authors with that knowledge and skill to succeed. So through online courses and a yearly summit and live trainings, I've helped thousands of people at this point to write, create, publish, and sell their books. In the last 18 months, I've worked directly with over 150 authors and helped them to write and revise their manuscripts. Many of them started from scratch, so they didn't know where to begin, and then they were able to actually complete their manuscripts with my guidance. And many of them launched and published their books, often to bestseller status, to some awards. So I am simply saying this to let you know I am very familiar with the field of writing and publishing, and also the traps that authors fall into. So I'm not talking about any of this to brag. I just want to show you what's possible if you apply what we're going to cover together. So let me show you a little bit of what is possible and what can happen when you get it right. So this is Connie Nepper. And when I met Connie, she had a dream to become a children's book author, and she was brand new to picture books. She didn't know where to start. And after working with me, she published 4 books in 6 months, and 2 more within a few months after that. She hit 3 #1 bestsellers out of those 4 first books. She had over 10,000 copies sold, so she had a really great results. And this is Nadine Rajet. And she was also brand new. She was unsure of her next step. She really just kind of couldn't get the book written and done. And she completed writing her picture book manuscript. She published her beautiful book. She got this wonderful review from Kids Books Review after it was selected to be eligible under self-published books that you see in the top right corner. She got that nice review. And lastly, we have Jana Bachman. And she also had a dream to publish picture books, and she just couldn't complete one. She just didn't manage to do that. And she attended some of my training, and in less than a year, she published 4 picture books and a coloring book, and became an award-winning best-selling author with over 1,100 reviews as we stand today on Amazon. So I'm sure you would like to see similar results to these ladies. So when it comes to writing picture books, there are 5 mistakes that stop people from achieving results like those results that I just showed you. And these are critical mistakes that I see people make over and over and over again that prevent them from writing and finishing their books. So that is what I want to talk to you about today, so you can avoid making these mistakes, and you can actually write that story that appeals to your audience and that they want on their bookshelf forever. And so you can do it without taking years to get it done. So let's dive into that. And we're going to start with what I call obvious but deadly mistake number 1, which is lack of a writing schedule. So the obvious part of that is if you don't have a schedule, you quite possibly will not put any time into writing, and then obviously you will never complete your book. So that might be more true for some people than others, because some people need a schedule more than others. But many studies have shown that we really are creatures of habit. A large percentage of what we do in a day or in a week, we do out of habit. So with routines, it's a snowball effect. So writing regularly leads to writing more regularly, more easily, because you get in the habit. So I am sure you've heard, or most likely experienced for yourself, that it's harder to start a routine than it is to keep a routine. Again, it's like building a habit. So if you write one day and then don't write for a few days and then write and then don't write, it's really like you're starting over again and again, because you have to kind of get yourself to start, to sit down, to write, because you're not in any kind of habit, right? So I said at the start, I call this obviously obvious but deadly mistake number one. And if you're like many aspiring authors, you will know about this mistake, but maybe you still haven't made it a point to make a writing schedule and stick to it. So one secret that you can use to overcome that problem is to remove friction. So it's been found in a study that one of the main reasons that we don't do things, especially new things that we know that we should do, you know you should do it, but you don't do it, is because of the friction caused by time and effort and distance. Now, in writing, distance isn't much of a factor, so I'm not going to cover distance. But with time, if you feel like you don't have enough time to write, figure out where you can make 10 minutes a day and sit down, set a timer, and use 10 minutes to write. You will be surprised what you can get done over a few weeks if you just do that every day. And I think we can all find 10 minutes if we really, really scratch around, or even if we just get up 10 minutes earlier. Or if it feels like too much effort, that's not quite as clean cut as time. You have to figure out why. Why does it feel like too much effort? Is it because you sit down and you feel like you actually have no idea what you're doing? You don't really know how to write a book. You don't really know what to do, what not to do. Maybe you just hate typing. Then write on a piece of paper, figure out why it feels like so much effort. And once you can figure that out, you can do something to make it easier on yourself. All right, and that brings us to mistake number 2, which is no practice. And I think this one is less obvious because a lot of people don't necessarily realize they need to practice. But I think some of us already know that practice is important. So sometimes using quotes feels corny to me, but sometimes it's just so appropriate. Like this one, genius is 1% inspiration and 90% perspiration by Thomas Edison. So if you want to be a genius author, then you really do need to apply this quote. So even though a lot of people know this, you can't get good at something without practice. But a lot of people know this, but for some reason they don't think it doesn't apply to writing. They think writing is 99% inspiration and 1% perspiration, but it really isn't that way. So I definitely understand the passion you have for your story or stories. So I know how that feels. You have these stories inside of you that you want to get out. You want to share it with the world, right? So do it, but do them justice. And really, the way you can do your stories justice is to practice first, because you will never write your very best story as your first story that you ever write. That just doesn't work that way. So you might be wondering how do you practice, or how does that actually work? So it's very normal for most authors to take their first idea or that main idea that they're most excited or passionate about and then write their first book about that, right? But now you've had no practice, and this is the book that you were kind of most excited about writing because that's why you wrote about it first, right? So you haven't done the best book you could because of no practice. So how do you overcome that? So what you can do is you can write just about anything. This is something you don't want to overthink. You don't want to break your head about, oh, but what do I practice about? Just write about anything or almost anything. You don't have to write about something you absolutely don't want to, but make a list of 20 ideas, 50 ideas, pick one a day or one every few days and write 500 to 1,000 words about it. It's very quick to write that amount of words. And you'll find that you actually improve if you just do this consistently. And then you can practice revising or self-editing these stories as well. So edit these practice stories to see how much you can improve them. And you're not doing that really with publishing in mind. Maybe one of them becomes amazing and you end up publishing it. That's great. But you're really doing this for practice to become a better writer. So I highly recommend, if you've never done this, just get practicing. And you could even go back to picture book manuscripts maybe you have now that for some reason you got stuck on. And I promise you it will be easier to make those into the story that you really wanted them to be in the first place. All right, now mistake number 3 is trying to go it alone. So I did a Children's Book Mastery Summit. I do one every year, but I did one a couple of years ago. And that summit, there was something that really stood out to me. So at the end of every interview with every speaker, I asked them, what would be your top tip to help children's book authors succeed? And this summit, I was surprised by how many said something along the same lines. I actually think one of these might have been Alexa, if my memory serves correctly, and I'm going to quote them. So, join a writers group that supports and encourages you. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Find a tribe. Have a community of people. Collaborate with others. So do I even need to add anything? It was this really, really distinct theme. I don't think I've ever had so many speakers or experts give the same advice. So being an author can feel very isolated because it is essentially, writing is something you do alone, but you don't have to do it alone. And we all need some support or some help sometimes, even just someone to cheer us on. So I'll give you the same advice that so many of the successful speakers on my summit gave, which is to join a local or an online writers group. Make sure it's an active group. Make sure they are actually doing things, especially if it's an online group, that it's not just a group in name, but they don't do anything, right? And make very sure that it's an uplifting group as well, because you don't want a group where they kind of so harsh in their feedback that you get demotivated. So preferably it should be a group of children's book authors, but any group that will support you and help you to keep going is good. So, and just as a note on these groups, as I said, if it's a group that just helps you to keep going, but they don't write children's books, that might be better than, a children's book group, but they're not uplifting or they don't keep you going. Okay, so mistake number 4 is no feedback or critiques. So I know that it can be scary, especially if you've never had feedback or critiques on your manuscript. I know some people just kind of get very nervous about it and about finding out kind of what's wrong with their manuscript. So it can be a real game changer, though. You do need other eyes on your book. Other people will see things that you don't see. It's just impossible for that not to happen. So you want to work with other writers or others writing in your genre. Ideally, you can also work with people not writing in your genre, but you should at least work with a couple of people who are also writing. In this case, we're talking about picture books, who are also writing picture books. And you want to also work with others who are putting in time to learn the craft. You are here on this webinar learning, right? And you want to work with others who are also learning, because otherwise you'll keep learning and you'll kind of feel like you're pulling ahead of them and they're not keeping up with your amount of knowledge and understanding. And if you do that, you should get good feedback and critiques that actually help you to improve your manuscript and actually uplift you at the same time, because you feel like you're getting better. All right, and that brings us to mistake number 5. So mistake number 5 is no training or guidance, okay? And this is also something I see kind of too often, where people just think they don't need any training or any guidance. They can just do, like, write a manuscript and it'll just be perfect, right? So that is not how it works. So one of the other big proven rules for success, and this is proven by, you know, many studies, is that you need the right knowledge, of course, but also guidance. So practice without knowledge is a very slow route. As much as I said it's important to practice, which it is, it can be very slow because you might never even realize what you're doing wrong. So you may get there eventually or you may not, but if you're just practicing on your own, you may be making the same mistakes again and again and never know that you're making those mistakes, right? So anyone can write a picture book, but not anyone can write a good picture book. So as I was mentioning earlier, when I started Get Your Book Illustrations, and we're a team of illustrators, so I saw a lot of picture book manuscripts. And it was actually very saddening for me, because what happened was authors would approach me to get their book illustrated. They would be so excited. They would be so proud of their story. And then when I received their manuscript and I read it, it was just badly written. And I hate saying that, but it's kind of undeniable. So what was really sad about it is they didn't have any idea. They didn't know that there were a lot of things about it that really should be edited and improved, right? So that's why I started a new company to help them with actually improving. So they would put in a lot of time and effort and money, and then it was never really a well-written book to begin with. So then it usually also didn't perform well. So if you're going to put in the time and the effort into getting your book illustrated and published and all these things and the marketing, then you should absolutely put the time and effort into the writing too, right? And that starts with getting the right knowledge and guidance on how to write. So there are so many people in this industry who have succeeded already. And what I find wonderful about the children's book industry is so many people are willing to share what worked. So I could say a lot about the subject, but let's keep it simple. Don't figure it out for yourself. It's really that simple. This is not something where you have to sit at home and just figure it out. There's a way better way to do it, right? Which is knowledge and guidance. So do courses, read books, study your craft. And then there's a secret that can speed up and supercharge your success. So courses and training are fantastic and you should study them. But I have really seen that there's nothing quite like having a mentor. So someone who can guide you where you are, not just a course that you just do that's not guiding you on a personal level, right? So a mentor, someone who can guide you step by step, help you where you're at, coach you over your next hurdle. And that can be one-on-one or it can be in a group coaching setup. I highly recommend that if you truly want to succeed as a children's book author, that you get guidance and support from a mentor. Okay. So that brings us back to our case study. So let's see what can happen if you avoid all these 5 mistakes that I just spoke about. So earlier I introduced you to Connie and Nadine and Jana, and we said what happens when you get it right. So they're all great examples of what can happen when you get it right and when you avoid these mistakes that I just went over. So how did they do that? So as I said, they were all aspiring authors and they were all without a book and they wanted to write and publish picture books, but they weren't sure how to make that happen. And they had tried, they were stuck. And then they did some group training with me, which helped them to overcome these mistakes that we've covered. So I'm going to go over how that worked. So the first mistake, sorry, I went one slide too far. Let me go back. The first mistake was lack of a writing schedule, as I said. So the training I did was a live training where they would meet with me on Zoom, and it helped them to keep to a schedule and complete their manuscripts as a result. And then for the second mistake, we have no practice, right? So the training also addressed that. I would say, they could probably have used more practice because the training was in a very limited time. So obviously they couldn't practice and practice and practice and practice and practice, but they certainly got practice because now they were actually writing. And then trying to go it alone. So they were on live group calls with me. They interacted with other participants of the challenge. So they weren't going it alone. So obviously there's different ways that you can do this, but this training that they did with me, that overcame this problem for them. And here is something that Connie said about not doing it alone. And just note, I didn't ask her any specific questions. I just asked her, what helped you to do well? And this is what she said. Joining different children's author groups is extremely helpful throughout your entire author career. I got started on my journey as an author when I attended the first Children's Book Mastery Summit, and then I did the Picture Book Challenge, which is an extremely helpful course for how to write a successful children's book from idea to publishing. This and working with Karen's team through Get Your Book Illustrations is where I learned how to write my first #1 bestseller on Amazon. So you can say she keeps talking about, working with others and not doing it alone. That's almost what she's saying in different ways again and again. All right. And then no feedback or critique. So we actually also did peer feedback and critiques as part of this training. And here's what Nadine said about the training. Again, I didn't ask anything specific. I just said, hey, what's your feedback on the training in general? And she said, I originally wrote the manuscript as part of the Picture Book Challenge, which was an incredible, right-to-the-point crash course in picture book writing. Plus, I love the critique part and receiving feedback from other fellow writers. So she emphasized that. I've written multiple picture book manuscripts since then based on what I learned during the challenge. Thanks again. So that's pretty wonderful because she was totally stuck on just getting one manuscript done, and then she could write more books afterwards. Okay, and then lastly, they were definitely getting training and guidance because they were on live training with me. They also were doing Q&As with me where they could get their questions answered. So here is Jana's feedback on that. And she said, oh, it was so wonderful. I had no idea that I could write something so magical like my manuscript. And when I look back at my notes that were stored on my computer for a long time and compare it with my manuscript, it is amazing what has happened to them. All of this happened because of your wonderful guidance. So she literally uses the word guidance, advice, and encouragement. I can't thank you enough for your course. It was exactly what I needed to make my dream come true. So you can see that with overcoming these mistakes, they got quite an amazing result. And the result was that we have these 3 published authors with best-selling, award-winning books, excellent reviews, great success. And believe me, they're just as proud as they can be because they know they did a great job, which is exactly what you want when you publish your book, right? You want to feel like, wow, I did an amazing job on this book. So now you know what's possible and you know which mistakes to avoid. And if you avoid these mistakes, I promise you, you will be a massive step ahead towards success. With that said, you might still have some questions because, we have a limited time here today. So you might have questions like, okay, well, fine, this is all fine, but how do I truly overcome procrastination and self-doubt? Or how do I come up with an idea and then turn it into an actual story? Or how can I be economical with the words and make my writing sing? How do I get my manuscript down to 800 words or 500 words or less? And decide what do I cut out and what to keep. Like, well, now I've written the thing, how do I know what to cut out? Or how do I find out if my message will resound with the children of today? How do I successfully complete my picture book, even if everything's challenging because it's totally new, because there's a lot to know if you're writing any book, and definitely also if you're writing a picture book. And maybe you have questions like, how do I figure out which age group my book is for? How do I do character development and world building? How do I create a plot that will captivate readers? How do I write so the text works with the illustrations? How do I work with feedback? How do I get the most out of the whole editing process and putting myself out there for someone else to critique? How do I work with an illustrator and prevent frustration for me and them? there can be a lot of questions because, as I said, there's a lot to know, right? And we don't have time to cover all these things in one short webinar. So at this point, that gives you two options. So you can take this information and you can implement it on your own. And if you used what I just went over, I promise you it will make a difference for you. Or if you're interested, you can join me for an opportunity to write your picture book or maybe your next picture book faster than you ever thought possible, and it will be good quality too, and really maybe even take your writing draft to a whole next level. So because you've taken the time to attend today, I want to make this very special opportunity available to you. I've done this quite a few times. So this is where over 150 authors in the last 18 months have completed this training and their manuscripts. And we've now had many published books as a result of this exact training. And I'm very excited to share it with you. So it's called the Picture Book Mastery Bootcamp. And in short, it's give me 3 days and follow my formula, and you will walk away with a written picture book manuscript and the tools you need to complete and publish your beautiful book. So this is an event that runs for 3 days, 7 hours a day, and it's from 7 to 9 June. That's a Friday to a Sunday. We start at 9 a.m. USA Eastern Time every day, but let me show you what it is all about. So the Picture Book Mastery Bootcamp, as I just said, it's a 3-day live online training bootcamp. It's delivered by me in real time, and I'll guide you and we'll take action following my exact Picture Book Mastery blueprint to make more progress in 3 days than most people make in 3 months. And a lot of people have attested that that really is true. And it's a get stuff done event. That's really what makes it special. So it's a step-by-step training taking you through the entire process of creating and polishing your picture book manuscript from start to finish. But we get it done as we go. It's not just me talking at you for 3 days. So this is for you, whether you've had success with writing picture books in the past, or you've struggled with writing picture books, or you're a complete beginner starting from scratch. You will get a lot out of it no matter where you're at. So here are just a few of the attendees with their completed manuscripts. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive so far. And as I said, a lot of authors completed their books, published their books. So I did want to show you very briefly what happened on one Q&A. And this is really, we do the bootcamp and then we do a live Q&A like quite a few throughout. And this is what happened on a Q&A session. So let me just share. Okay, there we go.
It's awesome. It was awesome. It was very inspiring. I've gotten further in this last 3 days than I've had in years. So I appreciate that very much.
You know, I've done like 14 books, but only 4 of them been children's books. And I wish I had known the stuff that you have given. You have been so good and so thorough. I cannot explain. Had I known this 9 or 10 years ago, I'm serious, because I write so much, I would have written about 100 children's books. I'm serious, because it's so simple the way you have it.
I really enjoyed your class, and enjoyed it enough that at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm awake, ready for your class.
This was different, and it's different in a very special way because I've been trying to write these books about my dog that is no longer here for so long. And the done is better than perfect was when you said, okay, time to write right now. And and it all came out, and it was emotional, but it was beautiful and wonderful and fulfilling all at the same time. So thank you for just pushing us into doing that, because now I'm pretty sure I won't say, oh, I have writer's block anymore, which I used to always say,
Nice.
which is not really true. It just was pushing through some things.
I tell you what, tell your friends, tell your enemies, whoever you can tell that this is a very wonderful opportunity to be successful. So, see you next time.
Just want to say thank you too. This has been wonderful. I finally have gotten something down and written, and I'm so excited about that.
You made the session really fun. Thank you so much. I absolutely, enjoyed the whole session, and I've been looking forward to every single day. You have made my character, which I had since 2008, to come to life. So thank you so much.
It made such a difference to my story. And I just wanted to thank you so much for that, for encouraging us to take that step, actually to take all the steps. The course did not allow for procrastination, and I love that. And I just look forward to other boot camps for sure.
I started writing 16 years ago. It's the hardest thing ever to write as a children's book. I've spent money and time and read 1,000 books, and I found your email, and then I was like, and I thought, a 3-day book, like 3 months of work. No. But anyway, I tried it anyway. I'm like, I'll be crazy. It's the beginning of the year. And I really thought, I know I wrote you this, but I really thought I was going to ask for a refund. And instead, I came in with one single idea for a book. I didn't even know. I woke up with the idea. I kept going, I don't know what I'm going to write, but I'm not going to work on anything I've ever worked on. I have a whole entire book in 3 days, and I know it's very close to being done. So I don't know how you do this either, but you know, you're very, very skilled at it, and your heart's in it. So thank you for my new book that I would have never written. So this was beautiful.
All right. So yeah, that was supposed to be a Q&A session, and that's how it went, which was obviously for me very touching, but I hope that shows you a bit of how the experience was for the attendees. So let me tell you what we're actually going to do on the bootcamp, so you know what you'll be learning about. So before we even start, we kick off with what's called a kickoff call, and on there we'll cover picture book basics. So you have a solid foundation to write your picture book. And we're actually going to come up with and choose your best idea for the picture book that you will be writing during the bootcamp. And I'll give you a special, very doable assignment so that by the time you arrive for the bootcamp, you're ready to write, so you can get the most out of it. And then on day 1 of the bootcamp, you're going to find out the crucial picture book writing craft concepts that all authors need to understand. We're going to cover how to turn your idea into an actual story. You're going to discover how to still successfully complete your picture book, even if everything's challenging, because it's totally new. Like really, if you come new, you will still get through this. And we're going to cover how to develop your character. We are going to cover how to create a plot that will captivate readers. We're going to cover how to do world building, and we're actually going to write your picture book draft using our step-by-step formula that leaves no room for procrastination and self-doubt. So that's all day 1. And then on day 2, we're going to cover how to be economical with the words and how to make your writing sing. We're going to cover how to get your manuscript down to 800 words or less and deciding what to cut out and what to keep. So I'll give you very actionable strategic ways that you can actually do that. You're going to discover in-depth self-editing or revision strategies. You're going to find out how to write so the text works with illustrations, which is absolutely crucial for picture books and something a lot of authors fail at without knowing that they failed at that. And we're going to cover how to work with feedback. And we are going to revise your draft, implementing all the pro strategies that you learned on day 2. So remember, Yana, it was those things on day 2 that I just spoke about that really helped her to get these amazing results. And then on day 3, you're going to find out the different types of book layouts and what they look like. And you can use that to plan a better book, because for a picture book, remember, it is a very visual experience. And the more you understand that, the better you can make your book. We're going to cover how to find out if your message will actually resound with the children of today. We're going to cover how to get the most out of the whole editing process and putting yourself out there for somebody else to critique. And we're going to cover how to work with an illustrator and prevent frustration for you and them. And then every day there are several live Q&A slots where I answer all your questions, so you never move forward with questions. All right, so now I already saw in the Q&A, someone's asking how much is this going to cost? Before I explain the price, I want to tell you about these amazing free bonuses. because I really want to make sure you succeed all the way. And I was thinking, what can I add to this to really help you succeed all the way in self-publishing? So bonus number 1 is called Self-Publish Like a Pro course. And this course goes into, basically, it's a great accomplishment when your book is ready to publish, of course. But in many ways, that's just the beginning of the self-publishing journey. So knowing and doing the many steps of publishing correctly is crucial to successfully reaching readers and selling copies of your book. And in fact, several of the steps involved in publishing your book will make or break if readers find your book. So here's just a quick feedback on this course, just to show you. So it says, after spending many days searching the web and gathering bits and pieces of information, we finally found everything in one place, Karen Ferreira Self-Publish Like a Pro video series. This is the most concise, complete, and most helpful place for all the information needed to do it yourself. Karen also provides her pro tips on each topic to guide you further and make the best decisions in launching your book. We would highly recommend that you include Karen's series for your journey. Okay, so then this course includes 16 videos. I actually show you like over the shoulder, click by click walkthroughs and explanations, pro tips, checklists that you can use for ultra easy execution, special tips to save you money when you publish, links to every relevant page and tool that you need, click-by-click walkthroughs of how to publish on KDP and on Ingram Spark, and time-saving info like recommended publishing platforms and which platforms are good for which purposes, and pro tips like launch strategy, how to write a great book description, how to reach more readers, maximize your book sales and grow your audience, and then all the basics like keywords and categories and what to have ready before you publish, with a whole checklist of what to have ready before you publish, how to price your book correctly, and how to check your print and ebook proofs and ensure everything's really good to go. So in short, everything you need to not just publish, but to publish like a pro. And the value of this course is $100. But when you pay for the bootcamp today, you will get this course for free. All right. And then no idea yet? No problem. Or if you're going, well, which idea could I come up with? So this bonus will give you a jump start. It's called the Picture Book Starter Kit. And the first thing in it is called No Idea, No Problem. And it's an idea generator that will make sure that you're never without an idea. And this is also a really great tool for those practice ideas that you can use to practice your writing. So after that, the first step to success in any subject is understanding the key terms of that subject. That might sound simple, but it's way more powerful than people realize. Understanding the key terms in any subject can absolutely make or break your success in that area. And that's why the starter kit includes your book and story foundation, where you'll learn all the key terms about picture book with simple explanations, added visuals, so you can really get the picture book basics under your belt. And then lastly, I wanted to make things easy for you by giving you the picture book layout templates and checklists, which these come with brand new checklists and templates that help you to lay out and create an amazing picture book. So the value of the starter kit is $80, but when you join the bootcamp today, you will get it for free. Okay, and then this last bonus I am very excited about. This one is called the Picture Book Manuscript Master Plan. And this is a very complete bundle of guides, workbooks with checklists, and it takes you step by step through writing and exhaustively revising your manuscript. So this is a very comprehensive roadmap taking you through every step of writing your picture book manuscript in in-depth detail, including ideas, audience planning, plotting, thorough explanations of writing craft aspects like show, don't tell, character development, world building, dialogue, and really a lot more. Extensive pro revision strategies, word count and how to get it down, how to write for illustrations, how to be more audience aware and make sure you're setting the right tone for your audience, how to get the words to bring across the message that you want to bring across, how to make your words work with the images and avoid bland writing, how to know what to write and what not to write, how to make your story concise and flowing in the few words that you can use for a picture book. And I know it's a lot here, how to communicate your vision to the illustrator in a way that's clear and reflects what you imagine, how to balance what you write with what you show, how to keep your patience with revisions that take a while when sometimes you just want to be done with the manuscript. I'm sure some of you have experienced that, and really much, much more. And this is for fiction and nonfiction. It covers both fiction and nonfiction. And the value of this picture book manuscript master plan is a $460 value. But when you pay for the bootcamp today, you will also get this for free. All right, so to recap, the bonuses are Self-Publish Like a Pro, the Picture Book Starter Kit, and the Picture Book Manuscript Master Plan. And the total value of these free bonuses alone is $640, okay? And that will be yours for free. So if you're asking how much, I just want to give you a quick comparison. So this is my rate from a while ago, really, $50 an hour. This is a real invoice. So per that, it would be $1,250 just for my hours to deliver this bootcamp, never mind the workbooks and all that. Or a fair comparison is a comparable 3-day bootcamp, which is $2,000 to $2,400. Sorry, that goes over the line, US dollars. So you're getting the $640 in bonuses as well, of course. So we have this $2,000 to $2,400. So you will not be paying that. And then we have the $1,250 for my hourly rate, right, for the 3 days, which you are not going to be paying that either. So you can get this Picture Book Mastery Bootcamp plus all these amazing bonuses that I shared with you right now for just one payment of $500. And you can take advantage of this offer right now by going to cbm.training PBBC, Picture Book Bootcamp, PBBC, okay? So if you go there now, you can get it. And I will also put the full link in the chat in case anyone just wants to click in the chat. The link is in there as well. All right, so you might be going, well, why am I doing this? Kind of, you know, the boot camp. Oh, I'm charging less for the boot camp than for the bonuses. I really just love working with people who just jump in and take action and make it happen. It actually makes me super happy to see people writing their manuscripts. But I also do need a favor. So I am very big on feedback and tailoring my trainings to feedback. So I will ask you to take a few minutes of your time at the end of the bootcamp, tell me what you thought and tell me what follow-up training you would like, okay? And I also want to generate loads of success stories. I want a lot of pictures like this, completed manuscripts, and I want you to be my next success story. And I really want to make this a no-brainer for you. I want to work with a number of you to get your picture books written, to show you how well this process works. So you might go, well, what's the catch? So it's really just two things. I only offer this bootcamp once a year, really, so I don't know when I'll offer it live again. And I definitely don't offer it often. And I can only accommodate a limited number of people because obviously, because I'm doing it live in real time with real people and doing Q&As, I keep the group limited so I can give everyone the best experience. So for that reason, it is a first come, first serve opportunity. But you can take action now and move forward right now, right here today, and know you've got your seat. But you can do that completely with peace of mind because it is, you have it 100% risk-free. We have 100% money-back guarantee. The way it works is if you attend the first day of the bootcamp, remember you have to attend because we saved a seat for you, right? And if you're not happy or you go, wow, this is not what Karen was describing on that webinar, then we'll give you a full refund. No questions asked, honestly, no hoops to jump through. We'll just give you a full 100% refund. Okay, so the link again, cbm.training PBBC, or the link is in the chat. Okay, so then I see a few questions, which we'll get to in a second. I'm going to tell you about one more bonus, and then we're going to get to all those questions, okay? So the way this fast action early bird super bonus works is for everyone who invests in the bootcamp while we're live on this webinar for the next few minutes, you will also get this early bird super bonus. And what this is we are going to publish your book for you. It's called the Child's Play Publishing Package. And you simply provide your book files and details, and we will handle the rest and publish your book for you on KDP and Ingram Spark. And I'm going to go through this very fast because it's a whole bunch of stuff, and I just want to give you the idea. So we will get you your ISBNs, your barcodes, your categories and keywords. We'll help you with that. Your book description, uploading to KDP Ingram Spark, checking your first digital print proof, and 5 book markups. So let me very quickly explain what these mean. So ISBNs is called your International Standard Book Number, and you need to have one. And you can get it for free with KDP and Ingram Spark, but that's not ideal, which we won't go into now. It's better to have your own. And you need one for each format of your book. So if you have paperback, hardcover, and ebook, you should really have 3. So one of these costs $125. And if you buy 10, which you kind of need to do, it's $295. So we'll give that to you for free, your 3 ISBNs. Then we'll also give you barcodes to put on the back of your books. Categories and keywords can make a massive difference in readers actually finding your book and buying your book. So we use a tool called Publisher Rocket, which costs $97, and we use our tool and help you find the best keywords and categories so your book can perform well. Most people we've published, even if they've done very little marketing, actually launched to #1. So this has been very effective. And as I mentioned, your book description can make a big difference to how many books you sell. So if your book catches someone's eye, then they're going to read your book description. So if it's not good, then they won't buy the book. So we'll write your professional book description that actually hooks potential buyers to buy your book. And then we'll upload your book to KDP and Ingram Spark, so it gets published on Amazon and many, many other platforms. And then we will check your first digital print proof from both, just to see if there's any errors that maybe you missed and avoid possible mistakes. And then lastly, we'll provide you with 5 book markups like you see on the screen. So these are not real books, they're markups, they're made digitally, and we'll provide these for you, and you can use them for promotion on all different platforms, okay? So that's your fast action super bonus. And as I said, we will publish your book for you, okay? So the value of this bonus alone is $1,200 value. And when you move forward on this presentation in the next 10 minutes or so, then this bonus is totally free. All right. So if you are absolutely stuck, you can obviously have a Q&A, but you can also email support@childrensbookmastery.com if anyone wants to take note of that. All right. So we have this quick recap. You get the boot camp, you get the 3 bonuses: self-publish like a pro, picture book starter kit, picture book manuscript master plan, plus we'll publish your book for you. So you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff. And again, I've seen a few people asking, the boot camp will run for 3 days, 7 hours a day, more or less. And it's from 7 to 9 June, 7 to 9 June, which is a Friday to a Sunday. And we start at 9 a.m. USA Eastern time every day. And you have the link on the screen to grab your spot. So with that said, I think, Alexa, let's jump into the questions.
Sounds good. Okay, it took a minute there for my video to turn on. So, as a children's book publisher, I just want to say, it's hard to do all of these things on your own. It really is. It's a massive process. It's a massive investment of time and energy to know all of these things and how to do them and in what order and have all the things right. And you can spend a lot of time and a lot of money making mistakes. So I am a big fan of Karen's in general, and we have lots of people in our community who have worked with her. So if you're, I endorse this fully, I'll say, like, to help you make sure that you know what you're doing along the route. So, all right, cool. And yeah, okay, questions. Okay, we've got a lot here, so I'm going to try to make sure that we answer the most that are relevant to the audience at whole. So we may, the one thing I see a lot of people asking about are the times, and would you drop the link in again, because people can't find the website link. So if you want to drop that link in the chat and then answer on the times really quickly. Yeah. Okay, there it is.
Okay, good.
Okay, and the times, is it live or is it pre-recorded?
It is 100% live. You need to attend live because it's a Get Stuff Done event. The real power of it is in being there and working with me and with the group and getting that stuff done in 3 days. So not pre-recorded, fully live, me talking to you in person, you talking to me in person, fully.
But then you record it so that if people can't be there for a session, they still get access to the content, right?
No.
Oh, no. Oh, so it's, you better
The
make sure.
reason why it's that way, I know people tend to go like, please. The reason why I made it that way is I have really seen through experience the power of these boot camps really are in people coming with this mindset of I have 3 days and I'm going to do this, you know. The moment you say, oh, you can watch the stuff later, you actually lose what I consider real power. That's why even when I sometimes, unfortunately, well, often, unfortunately, have to, people can't make those times. They either move their stuff to make it, or that's just unfortunately the way it is. But, well, unfortunately, I say, but maybe it's not unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you fully 100%. We just don't see people coming back and doing the replays or doing the work. So I'm a big fan of the live events as well. Okay, so I would guess if you have any more questions about the boot camp, send Karen an email at support@childrensbookmastery.com. I'm just going to ask out there if people have questions that they feel like they need answering before they purchase and they can't get it to you from later, will you still honor the fast acting bonuses?
Yes, if you email me like in the next few minutes, then absolutely, because then I see that you were on it, right? And you were just waiting for an answer. So that's completely fair.
Okay, awesome. All right. So Bernadette wants to know, what are the chances of hitting up a children's publisher that you don't need a literary agent? Do you know that, or do you want me to handle that one since?
I know there's a whole list of publishers that you can do without an agent. So there's on Kindlepreneur's website, there's a wonderful list of, I think, 30 publishers who'll accept your manuscript without an agent. So you can definitely check that out. And I'm pretty sure, Alexa, you don't ask people to have agents either, right? So
we do not. There are many, well, I'm a hybrid press and no hybrid presses require agents, but there are lots and lots of small traditional publishers like my friend Maria Dismondi's Cardinal Rule Press. There's lots of small indie publishers who don't require an agent, and their submission processes will be on their website. So just make sure you follow all directions on a publisher's website. Let's see, I have 5 titles in a line of no language, unbound visual global books to teach children to transcend our differences. So I'm not really an author, but a visionary. Okay, that was a statement, not a question. Okay. Should you submit your idea of illustrations for your manuscript? Janie, are you talking about?
Should you submit your illustration ideas? Is that the question?
Yeah, I think that's but what I'm not clear about, Janie. If you want to drop a clarifying thing, are you talking about where you
the answer I would give is you can do illustration notes. I actually go into it a lot in the bootcamp because a lot of authors misunderstand illustration or illustrator notes, how many you should do, how to do them, what they're supposed to be. So the answer is yes, you can have some, but most authors tend to put too many. That's the short answer.
If a book is more than 800 words, is it no longer a picture book? What's the next stage then if your character is growing in terms of, let's say, a second book?
I mean, picture books can kind of go up to 1,000 words, but lately the word count's been coming down in the industry, and 800 is a better margin to shoot for. It actually depends on your age group. If you write for 3 to 5-year-olds, you should cap it at 500 words. If you write for 5 to 8-year-olds, you should cap it at 800 words. And the next thing up is early readers and then early chapter books. But they are very different. They are not just a picture book with more words. They are actually a completely different kind of book. So that's good to be aware of.
Yeah, this is, I actually just want to add to this because this is probably, this is an incredibly important piece for people to know and understand. It's what's even more important than word count, although those word counts are very, very, like, you don't want to submit a 2,000 word children's picture book. Nobody will take it. No libraries will take it. No schools will take it. It's just too much. But even more, like she just gave a scale that spans that. Even more important is high frequency words and vocabulary levels. So you really want to make sure that you're sticking within the vocabulary range of your age group as well. And you can find those by like going to the Lexile website and other places to make sure, or even your state's your state Department of Education has like high frequency words and word ranges and all those kinds of things by age range. That's really important to know as well. Can you please speak to the editing process? Once we receive feedback and critique, how do we effectively approach the process of turning feedback into appropriate edits?
Okay. That's really a big question, so I can only give a pretty short answer here. I mean, I'm happy to help, but I don't want to keep saying I covered that on the bootcamp, but I do. But that just sounds like a sales pitch, which is not necessarily my intention. But yes, so basically, when you get feedback, the way I suggest is you really go over if you need to take a breath, then do that. That's the first step. If you read it and you're like, no, then take a step away, come back when you can really just be totally kind of impartial. So try and create some distance between yourself and the manuscript, basically, so you can be as impartial as possible. Then take that feedback and really read it as impartially as you can. And then I put little stars or little circles or whatever by the feedback points that you want to implement. So the ones that you feel are actually what you want to use, you take those, especially if you get from a few people and they're saying the same thing. You should really consider those points. And then you take those points that you put a little star by, and you might need to brainstorm a bit how you're going to implement it. Like if they say the ending isn't, the resolution isn't satisfying, you might need to brainstorm a bit, right? If it's just something very simple, like I think you should change the character's name because of blah, then you can just change the character's name if you want to implement that. So you have to decide what you want to implement and then how you're going to do it, and then you just do it, basically.
Perfect. Okay. I think Deborah means with you. Do I provide the illustrations for publishing? But I'm not sure there's not a much to.
Yeah, a few people have asked about the illustrations. So if
to go
you
off
are
there.
doing the boot camp, the illustrations aren't included. This is just the training for the manuscript. Sandra asked, do we publish books that have an illustrator? Yes, you are not in any way obliged to work with us. We are not a publisher like a hybrid publisher like Alexa or a traditional publisher. It's really more self-publishing assist, right? It's a service where we help you with the publishing, but that's separate from the illustration. So obviously, if you want to work with my illustration company, wonderful, I'm all for it. If you don't work with my illustration company, completely fine, not an issue at all. Those are really two separate things. So the publishing is just helping you to publish your book, if that makes sense. So yes, you have to provide your own illustrations, in short. Or work with my company, but that's still providing your own illustrations in essence.
Awesome. Yay, we made it through the big questions there. Oh, looks like Diane has joined. Awesome. Kiki, I'm not sure if you're saying you got the email address, so just in case, it's support@childrensbookmastery.com. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this, we will load the recording to our YouTube channel. So please make sure you're subscribed to youtube.com/write, publish, sell. We put all of our webinars and trainings and other stuff up on YouTube. So head on over there. Also, if now several of you were asking for bonuses and other freebies from Karen, that those are, I'm going to go ahead and just say that I believe those are only for people who join the course. However, Karen does have an offer for Women in Publishing Summit attendees on our website. So if you either go to the sponsors page at womeninpublishingsummit.com and look for Children's Book Mastery, or go straight over to womeninpublishingsummit.com / I can't remember if it's CBM or longer than that. So I would go to the sponsors, womeninpublishingsummit.com / sponsors, look for Children's Book Mastery, and she has a free course. I think it's a free mini course up there that you've got for our community, correct?
I think it's the Children's Book Blueprint. I just quickly grabbed the link. There we go. It might not be the Women in Publishing link, this one, but it is a link to it. So it's a 30-page PDF that's really pretty complete on how you actually, all the steps from creating to publishing. So it takes you kind of through a whole, a guide.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Karen. Usually Karen and I do a co-host of something that we'll pull together or announce for the fall, which is really great. So keep an eye out for that. When is your conference this year?
Probably July.
Okay. So I will definitely let people know in our community about that as well. And I just really appreciate you and all of your support throughout the years.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you as well.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.